But joining me now from Tel Aviv is Israeli government spokesperson David Mensa. First of all, is the Israeli government apologising to the families of the aid workers killed, including the 3 families in Britain?
Well, firstly, thank you, Krishnan, for having me on. From the Prime Minister to the Defence Minister to the spokesman for the Israel Defence Forces, all of us have expressed grief about this occurrence.
Yes, but are you apologising?
To be frank, if you let me answer, Krishnan, there's no point attacking me already. I've just arrived, for heaven's sake.
I'm not attacking you. I'm just asking you a simple question. I want an answer to it.
No, you are.
Are you apologising?
And allow me to answer. We have expressed grief about this operation, but we need to find out exactly what has happened. The Prime Minister, as he came out of hospital today, the Defence Minister and Minister Gallant have all expressed grief. Indeed, there is a sense of grief across the whole country because WKD are one of the good guys.
But you said this was unintentional. So this was a mistake, wasn't it? So you can apologise already. You don't need to know the precise details to issue an apology. Clearly, there are grieving families tonight.
There are grieving families, and we grieve with them because clearly something catastrophic has happened. Clearly something catastrophic has happened. It's not something that we wanted, and we're going to get to the bottom of this and find out exactly what happened, because the role of bringing aid to innocent Gazans, to ordinary Gazans, not to Hamas, to the genocidal terror organization Hamas, that role is sacrosanct to us. We've got no beef with the people of Gaza, ordinary people. We're trying to get as much aid as we possibly can.
I mean, it's not sacrosanct.
The dilemma,
saying things like you're trying to get as much aid as possible is just not true, because only a few days ago, the UN's highest court, the ICJ, ordered Israel to, without delay, facilitate humanitarian aid. And tonight, a ship laden with tons of aid is sailing away, and humanitarian organizations are saying it is simply too dangerous for them to carry on supplying aid because you kill their aid workers. So it is just not true to say it's sacrosanct.
It absolutely is sacrosanct, because before this war, which we didn't want or didn't ask for, there were about 70 aid trucks of food alone going into Gaza. Just today, there were 243 on an average.
Those numbers are disputed.
No, they're not disputed. They're facts, Christian. We can.
No, they're not, because the UN said that before the war there were 500 trucks going into Gaza and around 150.
So, Christian, I'm talking about food now. We're not sending in. We're not sending in cement anymore.
Anyway, I don't want to argue about the numbers of trucks. I'm not asking you about trucks. I'm talking about the fact
to build a terror network. Concrete has been used to build.
We're not talking about that either right now. We're talking about
because you talked, Christian, about the aid trucks. We're saying that we're talking about food. There were 70 before the war. Today there were 240.
Well, again, I must say the 70 before the war is a disputed number.
Those are the facts, Christian.
Well, it's not a fact. It's a disputed. It's a claim, and it's disputed. And there are contradictory. There are contradictory numbers.
I say is disputed.
Let's move on to the facts.
We are a democratic country with a free press and with checks and balances. And, at some point, you've got to take our side over a genocidal terrorist organization.
No, we don't take anyone's sides. We're journalists asking questions. Now, the next question
which is the right thing to do, Christian.
The next thing I wanted to ask you about is the 196 other aid workers who have been killed in Israeli strikes. Are you also going to investigate them in the same way?
Look, every civilian death is a catastrophe, but the point of this whole operation is to focus on Hamas and to get our hostages out. Any aid worker, genuine aid worker, of which WCK are one of the good guys in this war, because the dilemma that we face is that aid workers themselves actually participated.
Do you accept that they are aid workers?
Aid workers themselves from UNRWA, for example.
No, we're not talking about UNRWA. I'm asking you about Médecins Sans Frontières. Are they a recognised aid agency in your mind?
I don't have any information on MSF to share with you, so I can't speak to that point. But I want to share with you the dilemma that we face here in Israel.
I want to keep asking you about some of these cases, because also in January there was the British charity Medical Aid for Palestinians that was hit. Is that being investigated?
Again, I don't have any information on that case. I, from my memory banks, will tell you that medical aid for the Palestinians, I think, have been investigated by the Charity Commission in the UK itself for the misuse of funds. So that's probably not the best example. But this expresses the dilemma which we're facing here in Israel. We're trying to get aid using genuine partners, which we believe that WCK are a genuine partner, trying to ensure that Hamas does not steal the aid, loot these trucks, and get it to the people that need it. You know, there's one thing you can be sure of, that unfortunately, is that there's no one hungry in Hamas. We're trying to get as much aid as we possibly can because we have no beef with ordinary Palestinians. We're trying to get to Hamas to finish off this war so that we can return to peace and, most importantly, de-radicalize Gaza.
Yeah,
Gaza
okay.
has a right
Finally,
to be...
Just before you go, can I ask you as a matter of fact, did Israel bomb the Iranian consulate in Syria?
So I've got no comment on that, but what I can share with you is that Daniel Hagari said quite clearly that it wasn't a civilian embassy, it was a military base for Al-Quds. So while I can't
but you're not going to
deny
admit it.
no, as I said, that was a military base for the Al-Quds force. Iran, unfortunately, once again, trying to destabilize this region, not for the good of the Palestinian people, not for the good of the Arab world at large, but just to destabilize this region. We're trying to go for peace. We're trying to go for coexistence, but we need to get
sorry,
rid of
David, I've got to cut you off there. Because I mean, I'm just trying to get answers to questions, and if you can't answer the question, then I can't allow you to do the propaganda bit afterwards. But David Menzer, thank you very much indeed.
You're such a sweetheart. You're such a sweetheart, Chris.